Hello, I hope you can hear me. I hope you can hear me. Oh, I hope you can hear me out there in Scoutlands. Can someone tweet to say they can see me going there? We all good? Chat, say something, please. Okay. Anyway, I'm just going to go on and assume that you can hear me, and we're all good. So, I'm Chris James, ML Fozzie on the Scout.
We can hear you.
Hello, and I have with me here, I have Gianni, our regular match commentator, and FPL Milanista, also known as Obay, but let's go with the FPL, that's what we want, who are going to bring us through to deadline. It's going to be a bit of a different thing. For a start, it's me doing it, which is probably why it's going to be all sorts of technical hilarity. I had this morning, my computer just decided to stop working about 10 minutes ago, so I've had to do a bit of manual fixing. And we're going to talk about the key decisions. We're going to look at our teams, and we're going to have something a little bit different. We are going to make a live advice on transfer. I'm basically using this to help me decide which transfer I need to make in the next 15-20 minutes. So, feed in. It's going to be a little bit different. So let us segue into the straight away. How are you guys doing, by the way? How's your last game week? I can see scores wise. Top 50,000, Gianni, you doing all right?
Yeah, I'll take that. Good for this point in the season. It seems like the whole community are sort of up on where they would be at last year or the year before that. So it seems like the template has been doing well, and I'm very happy going into what is the best time of year, right? The festive season for FPL is just crazy, and we like craziness in FPL. I welcome that.
It is the most wonderful time of the year, as they say, for FPL. No, it's like nine game weeks in 36 days or something crazy like that. It's absolutely insane. Not great news, as you'll go into if you're a Chilwell owner, obviously, because his 6 weeks off will nicely cover those and maybe a few more at least. How are you doing? Obay, obviously, I was quite happy with my 25k positioning until I've seen your rank, which is a little bit annoying. So you're nestling inside the top 1k. Going well?
Yes, yeah, all is well. I think, things started really well at the beginning of the season, and gladly, I managed to almost maintain my rank, although I've seen my team shifting a lot against the template, and that's a worrying thing. Like each game week, I'm too worried going into it, and then I'm just waiting for those fullbacks to just calm down a little bit. I have no James Chilwell. Okay, luckily for me, like he's gonna be out now, although I wish him all the best. But James, Cancelo, these players are just like unstoppable these days, and I still don't have them, and I don't really want to make major shifts in my team. And I was relying on Ronaldo against Watford last week. We're gonna talk a lot, I think, more about how things have been changing recently. But I think I'll have to. Also, I was relying on Pep and Tuchel's rotation, and they seem to play their players every game, and it's just like, when will Cancelo be rested? I don't know. I was waiting.
I don't think he's going to be rested. There's a new Duracell bunny. I've been told not to keep tapping the table. Apparently my mic's very sensitive, so I'm going to keep my hand quietly underneath the desk. Should we go and start having a look at the teams? We've only got about 20 minutes, so we've got plenty to talk about. So let's segue into this and see if I set this up right. No doubt. Let us start with. Here we go. Let's start with Slickly. We won't start with my team because for some reason I can't. That's been slightly. Let's start with Gianni's. Gianni's got two teams on here. This is going brilliantly well, isn't it? Right. So, Gianni, you added another team in. I'm gonna get rid of one of those.
The one with Alonso is the team, because that was my late transfer this morning. I've taken a 4-point hit to bring Alonso in, so slightly different to what I said on my team reveal video on Wednesday.
Right.
I did go with two of those subs, and your transfers. I've gone Alonso in. That's the one.
That's the one. Yeah. Sorry, I had two of them, and they weren't supposed to both appear, but they did. So talk to us. You've got Alonso. Alonso is much debated this week. Obviously, there's Chilwell out. People need Chelsea defenders. You need Chelsea wing backs. They are basically Chelsea midfielders, right? So Alonso, there was some dispute though. Has been some debate on the channels about whether Alonso's actually going to play left wing back. It seems madness considering that's his position, and they don't have someone necessarily dedicated to do that. But obviously, the other game they brought on a different player. Are you confident he's going to play a lot of these game weeks?
Yeah, I am. I really think he will. I think he'll come in. I think he'll be like for like. Just looking at the graphic though, Chris, I don't think this one is this might be Obay's team or someone else's. This one's got Rudiger and James
All
on, I
right,
think.
okay. Let me.
But when you're finding it, I can give the Alonso spiel because it's so important. Like I think if you own Chilwell and you don't own Reece James or you don't own Cancelo, sure, like that was the transfer most of you probably made this week. But if you own those guys like me, like I've got a back line of Trent, of Cancelo, of Reece James, well, still want Alonso in, all right? Like I've managed to go Christensen to Alonso, and I think it's worth the hit. And even if that hit doesn't pay off this week, over the stretch of 5-6 weeks, that hit's going to pay off. So I'm very happy about that, and I expect attacking return.
Is that your team, Gianni? That's on the screen now.
It is. That's
yes,
the one.
Fantastic. That is the problem of last minute changes to someone who's not quite as experienced at this. But there we go. Third time lucky, we got there. So yeah, so you talk us through the rest of that team. Then you got some.
It's big at the back. It's really big at the back. Like Livramento is my fifth defender, but I've got a really strong back four. It's a very, very weak bench. And Obay, I'm keen to get your thoughts and seeing your rank, Obay, knowing you've gone without Reece James and without Cancelo shows there's more ways to play this game than we all think. But I'm playing the game slightly different, I guess, going into the really busy winter schedule with a very thin bench. Now, most would say this is when you need your bench. And I've just bought in Gilmore for Havertz, for example. But it allows me Harry Kane. And I just feel like, yes, Gilmore, Brownhill and Livramento, when they come off my bench, they might get 2 points. But I've had Antonio for the last how many weeks, Foden for the last 3 weeks. These guys have been getting 2 points anyway. So what does it matter? I might as well get 2 points from my 4.4 million enabler. And I really am happy with my 11. Kane in, Jimenez is doing well. I expect Tony to score against Everton today, Chris. So I'm very happy with the look of my team now.
Yeah, I expect Tony to score against Everton today as well. As an Everton fan, I expect everyone to score against Everton at the moment. You can see my shirts in the background there. I think it's really interesting. I mean, you went strong on Foden. You were very bullish on Foden.
Yeah.
And I think you got rewarded quite early on, but it's been slim picking since. I'll come on to my team in a bit. I only got Cancelo in last week. I had no City for quite a while, and I'd surfed it quite successfully. It was really helping my rank rise because they were getting clean sheets for a while, and nobody was really getting the meaningful points. But I brought Cancelo last week. He did well, obviously. I'm thinking about City midfield at the moment. It's one of my things I'll come on to. But I wouldn't go Foden. I'm much more interested in Gundogan or Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva's kind of the boy at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he is. I think if you're on a wild card or if you're looking to bring a City midfielder in, you're right, Chris. You go for one of those two. But if you've got Foden, I still don't think it's a big enough swing to make that sideways move. Yes, Foden might not play this weekend, but the fixtures do look good. And he has been flavour of the month. Pepper has been playing him either wide left or number 9. I still like Foden. If you've got him in your team, you hold.
What about Kane? I'm looking at your side. There's a few things I'm envious of. I do kind of want Jimenez. He's kind of boring as an FPL pick. Where he's one of those players that will just keep scoring, which is great. He'll get a goal and that'll be it, and a few near misses and it'll be 8 points or whatever.
Yeah,
it's just not. He's not one of those 20-point haul players, right?
No, I've always felt like double figures is never going to happen with Jimenez.
Yeah,
like
okay.
his ceiling
is getting the 8 points. I had a conversation with Let's Talk After Andy at one point. He goes, "That's all right. What do you need? 8 points every week's fine."
Totally fine. That's Jimenez and Rafinha, I think. Yeah, those players are always getting you like 5 to 9 points, but they never they barely blank and they barely go. They almost never go more than 10. So, but as Gianni just said, Antonio, Foden, these players have been getting us 2 points for the past 3, 4, 5 weeks, and we're totally fine. So, if you can get a player who can average a 5 or 6 points per week, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think you're right. If you can do that, and especially if they're cheaper players. I mean, Jimenez is slightly in that these days. Player prices, it's really weird. There's people doing great guns in the 5 to 6 million, including defenders, right? And the defenders are now your back line is now a midfield players effectively in the same.
Yeah, they're wide forwards. My back line.
Yeah, so effectively where Salah's kind of a midfield player. It's incredible. Tell me about Kane.
Yeah, that's something I don't really like. Yeah, I'm just hoping that those defenders just will go now. The normal way of playing fantasy was never to go into too much into defense. So I just hope this trend is going to stop at one point. I don't know if that will happen anytime soon or if that will destroy my rank before it happens. Luckily, I remember last week I got Reguilon who played in the last game, and luckily he scored. So he just kept me alive, almost to maintain my rank. Otherwise, Cancelo and James would have really destroyed everything. And just one point for Gianni, I think he asked about the bench. I'm always not too worried about cheap bench players. Like, we're gonna see my team later on, and I think if you spend your money on the starting 11, especially if you have like players who can like you can trust to play most of the games. Now with City players, especially, like, we know Foden will be rotated. Cancelo supposedly should be at least taking a rest, but he isn't right now. Also, the Chelsea defenders, like we've seen, there are like plenty of them. Maybe Chilwell's injury now makes Alonso a really good pick, as you just mentioned. But I'm just think that, like, Azpilicueta will surely take some game time from James. People are expecting that to happen, like in midweek against Watford. And that's something that really could happen. So in that case, you'll need some bench cover. But even if it was like Gilmore in your example, I have Sissoko as well. Like, yeah, that's almost like a 2-pointer, but it's better than nothing at least.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll come on to your team. One final question for Gianni's team before we come on to your team, Obay, and that is Kane.
Yeah, I mean, look. He hasn't been banging just yet in the Premier League, but the signs
he hasn't been banging. Is that that's your description of? I don't think even Conte would have gone that positive, to be honest.
That's my Saturday morning description of Kane. I wouldn't have said that line on the FPL show, but I was on the FPL show with Az, who's watching, who literally said a week ago, "Go Son, not Kane. Go Son. I'm never going Kane. Oh, I'm Ronaldo." Well, Az has sold Ronaldo to Kane by the sounds of it, and I have bought in Kane, and I just feel like having that premium forward slot in your team, whether it's Kane or Vardy, is a good move, because at some point in the next few weeks, we're going to want to jump on Lukaku, we're going to want to jump on Ronaldo, and it will be far easier if we've got it covered. Now, Kane has 2-3 wonderful fixtures, so I'm back in the fixtures, and I expect Spurs to get 1 or 2 goals. I don't expect them to score 3 or 4, so I'm not expecting big points from Kane, but when they score, inevitably, he's involved.
Fair enough. I think it's a good point. And yeah, the point about having that option up front, I don't really have that. I'll come on to my team in a second. So, but let's go on to Obay. I presume this is your team. I'm hoping it is.
Yes, yeah.
Good,
when you see no James and Cancelo, you'll know that's me.
That's good. So, you've got a couple of bit of Wolves action going on there. That's obviously done. That's done you proud. Wolves treble up. That's kind of. That's relatively. Was that always the case, or was that coming this last week?
Yeah, no, that was when I wildcarded in Gameweek 5, I think. Yeah, I saw that they had like a kind fixtures till Gameweek 14, which is like what we're approaching right now. They have now Norwich and Burnley, and then their fixtures will go really bad. So that's the time, I think, when I will start shifting them out. But they've done well. I think they were the major reason why I'm here right now, because. I don't know if you guys remember, like in Gameweek 6, they beat Southampton 1-0. That was a goal scored by Jimenez, assisted by Sa, who got the goalkeeper who got the 3 bonus points. So he was really, like, I think 2% owned, and he got 14 points, and that was a big shift in the ranks. And as game weeks are passing, I think I wanted them for those 2 games. That's why I didn't sell them. Luckily, also last week they kept West Ham at bay, and like they kept a clean sheet, and that's one of the things also that compensated those monster goals from Cancelo and James. So that's basically my team. As I said, triple Wolves and then now triple Spurs as well.
Triple Wolves and triple Spurs. I mean, I think that's a pretty differential in your live FPL sort of tables that come up highly differential. I can't imagine there's too many
stars.
Wolves and Spurs.
That's that's the case. I was with Reguilon Son. This week I did the Ronaldo to Kane shift, and
nice.
As Gianni said, they have the fixtures. I trust the fixtures. I trust Conte as well. Like probably Gianni knows, we were discussing like a little bit about Italy before this meeting. So I really think Conte will change the whole thing at Spurs. So those are the perfect fixtures for him to start kicking. And the thing is with Kane, you just said, like, international games, he's scoring for fun. And even the European game 2 days ago, although they lost to a weird team, but in the end, he was the one who scored, and that's what you want in your FPL team. So I think the goals will come.
No, yeah, I mean, I think it's a fascinating team. I mean, it's very brave. I think you know, as I say, if that does happen, I think it will at some point. I guess it's just when. You know, Burnley away seems like a good fixture. I mean, you've got a lot of players against Burnley away and Norwich away. So, you know, and obviously Southampton home. You've really played the fixtures pretty well there. I'm going to switch. I might come back to him, but I'm going to switch quickly to mine. So I've got 10 minutes to make this transfer, and I need the wisdom of crowds. I might answer a few questions as well. We'll be here a little bit after the deadline as well. So here's what my side is at the moment. This is not likely to be the side that is necessarily completely going out like this. I'm pretty happy with Big at the back. Last week I made one mistake, which was playing Livramento and benching Rudiger. I just was trying to spread out my risk a little bit, and that was a bad idea as it turned out. So I learned my lesson. Hopefully,
14 bad ideas there, Chris. Was it a 14-point haul?
It was 14 points. It was quite
a big one.
I would have been top of the mods and cons now. I'd been inside the top 10k.
Don't worry, Chris. I sold Rudiger last week, so that's at least you still have him. I sold him last week.
I got points. I got points from TAA, Cancelo, and James. And Livramento. I was thinking, can he keep doing it? I just thought, what if I thought something Leicester might do something, but there you go. I'm quite happy with the side that I've got. I've had Dennis exactly. I've had Dennis for a while. It was a mad move. I won't go into it, but I got him. I was looking at Sarr and I was looking at St Maximin, and in the end I didn't get either, and I bought Dennis because he was somewhere in the middle. Random move. And actually turned out to be quite an interesting pick, but I'm not even going to play it. This is like the sort of week I might just try it, unless I make one of my transfers. So my thinking is, I don't really want Brentford continuing in my side on with two players. I followed Mr. Southern's his advice with Mbeumo. I get the stats are there. I get he's very good. He loves the woodwork. And I get he's playing out of position. But Brentford just don't look. Maybe today, maybe this weekend against Everton, it might come good. But I think having Tony in there is kind of cover enough. So I'm thinking my current poised transfer is Mbeumo to Smith Rowe. What do we think of that? Is that a random one? Is that a random sideways move?
It's not. I just want Smith Rowe's underlying numbers and check these out in like the scout members area. But he's been overperforming this season. Like you look at Smith Rowe compared to Gallagher, and Gallagher's is justifying his underlyings. Smith Rowe seems to be now. Maybe he's just a very clinical finisher, or he's getting lucky. I just wonder if the boat has sailed on Smith Rowe, and I never feel like Arsenal are going to score many. I don't know, but at the same time, there's not many options. And Mbeumo, I mean. You could go down to a 4.4 and save some money, Chris, and go like me, go for Billy the Goat Gilmore. I mean, he's going to be a bench option anyway. He's playing number 8. He's on assists. He's on corners.
I could do. No, that's not a bad option. I mean, it isn't a bad option. My three options are this, and you can let me think all of them were terrible. I was thinking either going Mbeumo to Smith Rowe, or Mbeumo to one of Gundogan or Silva, probably Bilva.
Oh, I like that. If you can go to a City midfielder.
The problem for me is that I think the West Ham game, I know it's not for one fixture, right? But I think the West Ham game is going to be a very difficult game for City. I think West Ham are a decent side, and they can shut the door. City will probably win, but I don't think it's going to be. We're not going to win 3 or 4-0. I don't think. So it feels like a weird week to go when Arsenal are playing Newcastle. I think I could do this week and then change again next week. Maybe that's not it's playing week to week. It's not great strategy going forward, but I don't know. The other options where I was thinking about was, do I go to Jimenez? But that would mean getting rid of Tony really, and it's not a terrible move. But I don't think I need to do that this week. And then I had a random Son to Mane whim, which I could just about do. And I thought, well, good. Do I just go all out on Liverpool? And
you could go Antonio out, Jimenez in for 2 weeks, and then bring Antonio back when the fixtures turn in a few weeks. But have you got a lot of money tied up?
I've got a lot of money tied up with him. I've only had Antonio since game week 1.
Oh, okay. See, I sold Antonio, but I had no money in him.
Yeah. So, I think I was going to suggest the same thing, because I was also one who sold Antonio. Sorry. So for Smith Rowe, I think the thing is that I don't really see him too involved. Like he reminds me of Gray as well at the beginning of the season. Like he's only getting 1-2 chances per game and he's scoring them. So is this going to be the case every time? That's a bit shaky.
What are 2 chances of scoring them? I mean, that's not a terrible situation. I mean,
will he continue to do that though? So I like the City players, although we're just like heading into this busy schedule time. So you'll you need to be prepared that they will miss a lot of games, like and a lot of minutes. So that's something
All
that's
right.
worrying enough. Yeah.
And we're trying to answer some questions in the thing before the deadline goes. So just quick. So if of those three, Smith Rowe, Gundogan, or Silva from Mbeumo, I don't really want it on my side, to be honest. What would you do?
So Jimenez is not an option anymore. Like I'd really rather Jimenez more than the other two.
You'd rather Jimenez and keep him, but I've got Mbeumo there. I just don't want him. I don't mind keeping Antonio. I don't mind holding on to him, to be honest. I really don't. I'm not Jimenez. I like, but I'm not excited about. Jimenez is not a player that excites me. I think he's a good player, but I need. Thank you. The pre-season price reveal stream. Thanks, Nuclear. That was a legendary stream. But yes. So given the midfield option, do I go Bernard? Do I go Silva, Smith Rowe, or Gundogan? Gianni.
Can you afford Bernardo Silva?
I can afford
You've got the money in the bank.
I'll have less room to manoeuvre afterwards. That's the only change. That's the only challenge.
I'd definitely go Man City. I'm always big on backing City attack if you can. And yet at the moment you've only got Cancelo. So I'd probably edge Bernardo Silva unless you've got plans for that money. And then Gundogan, the penalty appeal is there.
That's true. He's on pens, isn't he? I love Gundogan. I had him for all of last. I'm going to go Bernardo. I'm doing it.
Yeah, I think Bernardo.
Nice differential,
The
Bernardo.
more logical option is Bernardo. Yeah.
I've done it, and I'm probably going to bench Dennis now. So that's that's a disaster.
That's a 4-5-1 for you now.
The one match, yeah, he's going to get another 14-point haul. So let's have a quick look at some of the questions in the chat because we'll keep on after. But let's see if we can help anybody in their last minute. Let's have a look. We had a couple here. Start Rudiger or Gallagher. Why would you? Oh God, already have Alonso in. Would you double up on Chelsea against United?
Yeah, I mean, I've gone double Chelsea defence. United aren't the United that we're used to in years gone by. For the time being, we can still bank on United being rubbish. There's no Maguire, Lindelof and Baye, the centre back pairing. Luke Shaw might be out too. I mean, that would be at 6s and 7s against this Chelsea team.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind on doubling on their defense this week, but I don't think Gallagher is an option to be benched this week as well. So maybe he has other options to bench.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Foden or Antonio to start. I mean, you surely start
Foden. You start Foden, and
you start Foden, and if he doesn't play, Antonio comes in, right? I mean, it's entirely likely Foden might not play at all, right?
Foden either starts or he doesn't feature unless he's needed. Like if City are winning, which you expect them to be, he's not going to bring Foden off the bench for 10 minutes.
I've got the best question here from Garnet S. Garnet S. Thank you for this. Bench, and we've got King and Pookie benched, whatever. And then it's Mbeumo or CR. I don't know. They're saying Mbeumo or CR7. No, bench. Maybe it's bench King, Pookie, Mbeumo or Ronaldo. Are you benching Ronaldo? I mean, you
never bench Ronaldo.
You don't bench Ronaldo.
Yeah. No one benches Ronaldo. That's got Ali into trouble, surely. But you don't want to be doing that. So, dear.
You got to play Ronaldo.
Yeah.
I think. Pookie though. What about Pookie? I had a chat with Asbeth in midweek, and I was saying what he thought about Pookie, and not much is what he thought. I mean, is there any interest? New manager. He's got a goal. Is the Pookie party starting again?
I like this home fixture this weekend against Wolves that I could see Norwich scoring. Long term, I don't like Pookie as a pick, but a bit like Gilmore, like they're enablers.
Thank you, Gianni, for them scoring. Yeah, you don't want my double clean sheet, huh?
Of course, you've got double Wolves defence. Yeah, well, it's worked for you so long.
No, I think Pookie. Yeah, I was mentioning Pookie. Like I think in another show, like 3-4 weeks ago, when they were heading into that good fixture list, even before the manager change. I think that was the time if Norwich wants to stay, or like at least to challenge for staying in the Premier League. That was the period that they need to start kicking, and if they were going to score, it was going to be Pookie. But by the way, still, even last game, they really played bad. Like their expected goals were like 0.2 or 0.3 against Southampton. They scored 2, yeah, but they are not really clicking. So I still hope that, hopefully, this week they stay slow and Wolves can get the green sheet. But Pookie, is an okay option. I think if someone wants because he's also too cheap, and you can trust him also to play most of the games, or maybe all the games in this busy scheduled period.
Yeah. Okay, well, we are locked now, so that's done. My transfer was done. I still think I should have gone Smith Rowe. So when he gets a hattie against Newcastle, I'm gonna be blaming everyone here, but I made the decision.
I didn't even check everyone's captain, Chris. We all captain Salah, right? We must have done.
Who's at the moment? I think it's the whole kind of expected ownership thing, isn't it? I think It depends what your aspirations are for the season. I want to try and get top 10k again this year. That's where I'm aiming. I think you've just got to make some safe moves, and so many people captaining Salah. It's such a risk to go against it unless you are really going for. At the moment, I'm ambling up towards that place. I'm quite happy where I am. I think it's a big question to go against Salah as the captaincy. I don't know what you guys think. Well, I know Mark was going to looking at. I think Mark was looking at Son maybe even for this week. So he's trying to look at differentials. I don't know if he'll do that, but he was talking about it.
Gosh, yeah. I mean, for me, it was just a really easy one. It was Salah when he's at home as well, and knowing Southampton had conceded a couple to Norwich, I just thought, okay, maybe the Southampton defence isn't as good as we thought, and Salah at home, yeah, it's just you're not going to back against that on current form. Maybe in a couple of weeks, we've got Salah away to Wolves and we've got Kane at home to Norwich. That might, if Kane scores in the next game or two, that might be one where Kane gets a bit of support. But for the time being, I'm expecting Salah effective ownership always at sort of above 150 because he's just so good at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I also agree with the. It really also depends on the fixture. Yeah, I think Southampton at home is a really good fixture. So even if Salah was not in his current form, you would really back him to score in such a game. So and it really affects your rank. Yeah, I'm talking from like experience. Last week I had my captaincy on Ronaldo because I was really expecting United to do something against Watford and. Particularly Ronaldo and Bruno, like because they had that shocking defeat with the national team. I thought that they're going to be eager to start firing again. And he played his game before Liverpool, and he only got an assist, and they played horribly bad. So I was going into the Liverpool game in very bad shape, and I was watching the game, and Salah could have really scored more than
it's no goal. Fun watching Liverpool without
horrible.
Yeah.
I've not had Jota. I don't know. I mean, just going back, I'll go back to other people's teams of the month. I've not had Jota all season. Jota's felt to me a little bit like Liverpool's Mahrez, right? He's one of those players that he should be getting loads, and then he gets rotated, and he just doesn't. He's always capable of a 2-pointer or a 1-pointer the other week. I can see what Mark's argument off this is always that he's now out of position. He's playing pretty much centre forward for Liverpool, the most attacking team in the league.
I'm with Mark on this one. I went Jota a few weeks back, and I just think he could be a gift because his price as a midfielder playing as the number 9, it's just he's frustrating because he misses so many big chances. But I just feel like Jota is, especially he could be one we hold through January, knowing that Salah and Mane offered to the AFCON. I think, I expect big points from Jota even this week against Southampton.
I couldn't get to Jota, so it wasn't one of my midfield options. I'd spent a lot. I've got a lot locked up in my defence. I've got four big defenders and Livramento. So I haven't really got the money there. I've got Son in midfield. So I haven't really got the money to do that. So I was looking at it, but I don't know. I just can't. Every week I'm a little bit, and then I'm not. It's just not.
Yeah.
Much. So maybe this is the week he's gonna kind of really bang. I mean, Southampton though aren't any. They're no mugs defensively. They've been pretty tight, but not so great against Norwich. But they're not a terrible team. They're not Southampton of maybe right at the start. So
yeah.
What are you expecting Liverpool? What are you expecting for the Liverpool match? 5 goals.
Obay, what's your prediction? What are you going for? I'm going big.
I think this can be for me. Like I expect like a 2-0, 3-0 win for Liverpool. The normal result.
I think routine 2-0. I think it's a routine 2-0 or 3-0.
Yeah.
I don't think it's one of those.
I reckon 4-goal max, 3-4 max. I can't see more than 4. But I mean 4 goals. If Liverpool score 4, you'd bet your house on Mo Salah scoring or being involved in at least 2 of them, right? So it's a double-digit haul again.
What? Okay, talking at Liverpool. What about Mane? He's starting to look. For a while he was the one that was kind of rotated or pulled off early or whatever, and he's now starting to be more involved. Do we think there's going to be a point at which we think that the double up is interesting? I know at the end of last season that was the smart move. Maybe that was the end of the season move rather than the mid-season. It obviously ties up a lot of money. I thought about it madly yesterday. I thought about it last night. I don't know.
It's an issue for his price. Yeah, I think it's too expensive. Yeah, although he's really good. Like we're spending now on Kane, for example, and Ronaldo, and they're not really in any good form. So at least you're almost guaranteed 2+ goals from Liverpool in most of the games. So and he's been in good form now. He's scoring Champions League, he's scoring the league. So if it wasn't like, the issue is that it really ties a lot of money in the midfield, so it's not an easy move from Mane to Ronaldo or to Kane. So that'll always require two transfers, I think. So like in my case, if I had the option to maybe go to Mane this week instead of, let's say, Kane, but I couldn't do it because it really needs two transfers. And also I'm still with the idea that you really need one of the big hitters up front. So we're expecting a bounce like from United. They're getting in the new manager, and they have extremely amazing fixtures starting Game Week 16. So I really don't know if you can go into that without Ronaldo, at least because he's the talisman there, and he's like maybe he gets also penalties. We're not so sure right now, but yeah, I think you need that spot in your team. And the fixtures were made in a way that you can. I remember like earlier this season, a lot of people were discussing this, that you can easily move from Ronaldo to Lukaku. Okay, he got injured, so no one made that move, myself as well. And then you go to Kane for those 3-4 game weeks we are heading into now, and then you just move back to Ronaldo. So
I totally get that. It's that whole placeholder thing, right? I did exactly that from Ronaldo to Lukaku just before to try to beat a price just before the Champions League game, which was a disastrous move. That a few.
so you did, yeah. I had that in my mind, but I waited, for the game, and then luckily, I just kept Ronaldo. Although he scored and assisted against Tottenham, that was a good game for him. But yeah, that's basically the thing. Yeah, the issue with Mane, like. And now also like you have Jota, as you were just speaking, like you're getting another attacker from Liverpool for like 7.6 million, which is amazing. I tried myself to get him this week and last week, but it wasn't really an easy thing. So and I wanted to go into the Spurs and attack their fixtures heavily. So
no, I think you've got to have a strategy, and then you stick with it, right? And you've obviously you've got Wolves for those fixtures, Spurs you're playing for the fixtures now. If Spurs can they have got great fixtures. If they can pull it out, I mean, apart from you've obviously got Reguilon, or how do you feel about that? I mean, he's been mentioned by a lot of people as one of those essential kind of sort of wing backs that effectively midfielders that are going to get a lot of assists, maybe the odd goal.
He's been playing very advanced for Spurs with Conte now. So even last game, he scored basically from like a rebound from the free kick, but he also had a couple of chances for a couple of crosses for Kane. He also goes into the box. Even in the Everton game, he was close from scoring as well. Like he could have scored. He's entering the box a lot. So, and from my experience with Conte, as I was mentioning, he really like relies on those swing backs. Even like in Chelsea times, last season with Inter, we've seen Hakimi, and they've been really doing amazing. Those players with Conte. So his system depends on those swing backs. And Reguilon is, I see him like the more advanced. He gives him more freedom to go up front. So yeah, for that price and for those fixtures, I think that's a good move.
Yeah, no, if I was moving from Rudiger, which I'm not just yet, but I think he'd be a player I'd be looking at. About yourself, Gianni,
Yeah. I mean, it's that trust in Conte, isn't it? Like, I do think it might take a bit more time than we expected. For Spurs to score more than 2 goals a game, like that's going to take a bit of time. Yeah. And 2, for Spurs to keep clean sheets on a regular basis. But when they do, and I don't know if that's going to be a December or a January thing, but when they do, I'll be looking at Spurs' defence for sure. Their wing-backs, in theory, should be very close to Thomas Tuchel wing-backs. They should be on a par with Chelsea, where they become the team's wide forwards and they are the main attacking threat for that team. That is how Conte likes to play. We saw it at Chelsea, we saw it at Inter. At the moment, what we've seen of Spurs fullback so far hasn't quite been Chelsea levels of fullback play. And that might just take time. But if we get it, these guys are 4.9 million for Emerson and 5 million for Reguilon. It's so cheap. Definitely one I'm keeping my eye on. But at the moment, for me, there's too many other good options with Chelsea, City, and Liverpool.
I mean, there is. I mean, obviously, Alonso. I mean, Chilwell's out of it, but Alonso's back in it. So there's so many. What do you think about? I mean, people. You obviously got 3-4-3. That's been a standard formation for a lot of people for a while. I was toyed last week with going 5 at the back. Should have done, didn't. So I wasn't sure about Mbeumo, but I thought I'd give him a go. And then, I went 4 at the back. I think that. Do you think people are going to get to 5 at the back? I mean, the problem is if you've got these 5 big, if you end up with 4 or 5 big players and Livramento the decent fixture,
You play him, yeah. I think I'll be playing 5 at the back at times through Christmas. Like I'm currently on 4. Livramento is my 5th defender. When Livramento was a good fixture, he'll no doubt be in. And I can't see myself ever dropping the Chelsea lads, Cancelo and Trent. They're going to play regardless of fixtures. So my team is set up for 4 at the back, going to 5 if I need to. I think if Alonso starts scoring, everyone's going to bandwagon him in. Like people will jump on Alonso like there's no tomorrow if he scores against United or against Watford on Wednesday night. And I don't just mean scoring goals, just scoring FPL points, right? If he gets assists. And I think he will. I think he'll get FPL points in the next couple of weeks, big points. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that Chelsea double up very soon if you're not on it already.
I mean, Obay, you're doing better than all of us. You've got a great rank.
Without all these defenders, it's crazy. I don't know how you're doing it.
You've got a Chelsea or a City player in sight here. So, do you get nervous about those matches? I mean, are you just... You talked about earlier, you said how you cover them, but are you not a bit envious? Do you not think... I presume it's so expensive, it's hard to make the move. But
yeah, they're getting too expensive, to be honest, right now. But now I think from if you look at the fixtures also, especially for City, I don't think if Cancelo is really he's playing like the De Bruyne role now. Like last game week, he made an amazing assist, and he's going. I think he's gonna score a lot of points, and if he's no longer this player with any possible rotation thing, I think he's almost approaching the numbers of Trent, so he's gonna be a must-have very soon, and he's almost like the case now for everyone. But for me, I'm planning a move right now. If you look back at my team, I think, as I said, Wolves will stay for those 2 game weeks, and then most probably I'm gonna lose Semedo for Cancelo and fund that by moving Jimenez to a cheap attacker. So for me, Cancelo will be hopefully in by the Watford game if nothing else happens. But for Chelsea, I've been so unlucky with those things. As I said, I wildcarded in game week 5. I went for Reece James at that time when no one had him. I think he was very low ownership.
Yeah.
So I decided to go with him at that time, and then he gets that injury straight away, and I was planning to keep him on the bench, but then also Trent was injured for the same week, and I had to make a transfer. So I just made the sideway moves from James to Rudiger, and then it ended up only he missed 1 week, 1 game, and then he was back. So and he started scoring, and then last week I lost Rudiger for Reguilon for I know that Rudiger scored straight away and he got those 14 points, but that was a move, in an intention to save some money and get Cancelo in 2-3 weeks, as I just mentioned. So I really think that that's the right way to do it. If I'm on wildcard now, I think I will go with those big defenders, definitely. But it really shows that there's nothing called a must-have. Maybe Salah with this kind of form, he is, but otherwise, you can play the game in multiple ways. So even if you don't have those defenders, you can. And I always like the fixtures. I remember when on the wild card, I went to Ismail Assar. They were the worst team ever. They played the first 4 weeks with no attacking intent, no attacking potential for Watford, and people were questioning the move. They were moving for Gray, Smith Rowe maybe that time, and I was I will just go with Sarr for those fixtures, because again, if Watford were going to make any return, I think they had Newcastle, Leeds, and Norwich in that space of 3 game weeks, and that's what happened. Yeah, he scored a couple of goals, and then he scored again.
It was a good move. I was looking at it, as I say, I went to Dennis in the end, which was the most random sideways move, but it was a random move. But I'd never played him once, whilst all his points are accumulating on the bench, but that's. I'm interested to hear more about your play, actually, because that's quite useful. So I do have a rough plan. I do use some of these transfer planners, but I find I've got a rough plan towards fixtures, but I'm not so rigid. I'm kind of reacting a little bit, looking at I do look at what's going on around in the top 10k, and I do play a little bit more kind of short term. But you seem to be playing. You're doing better than me, so I'm going to listen. You seem to be playing how many weeks in advance? Have you got your transfers provisionally planned for the next 8
Well, usually I try to plan 3-4 weeks in advance. Now with this busy schedule, I think I made my last plan on from now till game week 17, which is the game week I think I want Antonio back. So I had to make just a longer plan in a way to get Antonio for these good fixtures. So, but if you want to do well, I think you need to adjust. What you're doing is right. You need to just see how things go. Like as Gianni mentioned, if now Alonso starts kicking in and he's like still at 5.6 or 5.7 million, I think I won't make the same mistake I did with like James and Cancelo, and they're like just shooting up in price. Like Cancelo is now like 6.7 maybe. So you need to be reactive if these things happen. But again, I think Chelsea's fixtures are not the best fixtures now, and I still expect rotation to happen. So that's something that will maybe affect my decisions. We'll see. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, it's working. I mean, as I say, there's some light barracking in the chat there about how you don't have any. You've got triple Wolves, triple Spurs, no City, no Chelsea, no Jota. Do you have your wild card available? But like you say, you're sitting there from well within the top 1K. I think you've got the right to go as maverick as you like. Gianni, how many weeks in advance are you planning on at the moment, especially with this Christmas fixture, Christmas period? We've got to make our decisions pretty quickly. So have you got a plan all the way through to the end of December?
Yeah, I've definitely got. I like to plan heavily on my next 2-3 moves and have an idea of what I'm doing in my next 3, 4, 5 moves. But very, very rarely, as FPL managers, this is relevant for all of us. Does that plan in 4 or 5 weeks' time ever stick? Because there is always hits of form, dips of form, injuries. So for me, like I know my next couple of moves, and my plan is to get Jimenez out after 2 very nice games. He's got Norwich and Burnley, and then Jimenez goes on the most awful run where he's got like Liverpool, Chelsea. So my plan is actually then to bring back Antonio, whose fixtures start to get better. Now, bearing in mind, I've just sold Antonio this week. That sounds crazy, but I was someone that sold Antonio, I don't know, was it 5 weeks ago when he was injured for a week or 2?
So you're not taking
I didn't have loads of money tied up. So I'm very happy. I was looking at it going, I'm probably going to be benching Antonio this weekend, and I would have. I'm probably going to be benching him in one of the next 2. I think it's Brighton and Chelsea, maybe. So yeah, Antonio and Jimenez will be some movement there. Foden, if again, monitoring his injury is going to be difficult. Like Foden is one I'm really always very reluctant to sell. He's someone that plays for Pep as a number 9 very often. And when Grealish is fit, I think he'll be back as the number 9. I just think he's a gift at that price. But if Foden, will know more, hopefully post-match, if he'll be at Pep will be asked on Foden if he doesn't start. And I'm hoping he's fit for that that Watford game in the week. If he's not, then I can't really afford with my bench to be having players like Foden out for more than 1 or 2 weeks. I can ride those single weeks, but not if it's double or triple. So again, he'll be one I might have to sell. But my eyes are on the premium attackers. Like I've got Kane. If Kane starts hitting form, and then we also want to jump on a Lukaku and Ronaldo, I'm going to be reluctant to sell Kane. And I'm almost thinking Foden might have to become my make weight. Foden down to an enabler, and then Jimenez instead of Antonio. Jimenez can go to a Ronaldo or a Lukaku. Wow. So again, there's a little bit of
quite a chunky up front, right? So
it'll be very chunky, and there'll be I'll have 3 4.5 midfielders, which would be absolutely crazy. But it will just be big at the back and then big up front.
Yeah, but that's great though. If to be honest, if that happens, if that's the way that you need to play, I think that will, in some ways, be great for the game, right? The fact you need to be. Yeah. You need to be flexible throughout the season. You need to change.
Just pick the 11 best players
and then switch it right back. Because the forwards have been woefully disappointing in the main. I mean, you know, Jimenez, who I'm going to regret not signing, I'm sure, Obay. So I will remember that you told me I should have done that. But up front, it's been poor. I mean, obviously since Bamford and DCL got injured, those kind of midweight options went out. Ings has not really, been playing either and or doing much. And obviously Kane is. Ronaldo's not done terribly, but he obviously promised so much when he came in. Yeah. And then Lukaku's out as well. I mean, obviously you're a Chelsea fan. I mean, Lukaku coming back, he's not flagged at the moment. He was on the bench for the midweek game. Mm-hmm. Do you expect a cameo today? Or this weekend rather? Do you expect him to come on and?
Yeah, I think he probably gets 10 minutes. Maybe 20, like a bit like Werner did in the week. I don't think either of them will start. I actually think Havertz will be the number 9 again this week. We've been playing so well with Havertz in there. Yeah. And Havertz did train yesterday. Tuchel has said yesterday he's in the squad. He's fine. So yeah, I think Lukaku will be definitely one we monitor, but maybe don't react to just yet. But I mean, I don't mind if I'm in a situation where I'm big at the back and big up front, and I've got 3 4.5 mids. I just look at it and go, pick the 11 best players, pick the 15 best squad. Like, I don't care too much about team structure. Whilst I said about covering price points, yes, it can appeal at times. all it takes is 2 transfers to completely change your formation, change your team structure.
Yeah.
All you have to do is roll a transfer 1 week. You have 2. You don't even need to take a hit, and you can completely change your formation or your structure. I sometimes think we worry too much about covering price points in particular positions.
Yeah.
I don't care if I've got 3, 4.5
If you can
mids.
get there, right? If you can get there within 2 moves or 3 moves
Yeah.
at max, it's fine. I mean, I've tried. I set myself a few rules at the start of the season. We'll start at mid last season and the start of this season. I'm trying to keep to. I'm trying not to take hits. I know it's not terrible. It's only 4 points, but I think it's kind of it's moreish, right? Once you start doing it, and you can justify yourself. I can do a -8.
It becomes addictive.
It does. So I've decided not to do that this season, and then also. What I said I won't do, which I have done today, is never make changes on the morning of the game unless it's injury forced. So obviously, at the times I've done it, like when I changed Livramento from Rudiger benched for Livramento last week with 3 minutes to go, it's bad. It's usually I've never known. I mean, I can't. You probably don't remember. I probably don't remember the times it worked out okay, but yeah. So this last minute transfer, I'm already ruined. Watch out for an Mbeumo hat trick today against a weakened Everton side. I mean, they are a very weakened side.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm the Everton fan here, as you can see from all shirts behind me and all over the place. We're in a bit of state at the moment. I think we're lacking
Honeymoon period's over, isn't it? With Rafa.
He started so well, but then the spine of the team got ripped out. DCL and Richarlison were both out up front, and DCL's, the target man up front. Decore, who was doing so well box to box for Benitez, was out. And Miller, who people don't recognise, he's quite important to us for set pieces because he's a big lad. He's kind of hard to get round, and without that, we don't really have as Holgate and various others aren't really kind of working out. Godfrey, they try to play in the centre. It's not really working out. So I don't know. And with now Gray was a Gray. I don't know if he is. I think he's doubtful to start and. I heard Decore might be back in training. I don't know if he's going to be back as an option for this match, but yeah, if Brentford wanted a game to get some get a bit of confidence, get a win on the board, it probably is this week. Whether or not they just don't look like a team that's going to score a lot, do they? I mean, that's not. You don't see them. I don't see them as the team that's going to be routinely knocking 3 or 4 in. I know early on in the season they had a couple of decent matches, but at the moment they don't look like that.
They started the season, Brentford, playing against loads of tough opposition. Like we saw them play Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, and they did well against all these teams. And it was like, okay, let's all beeline to Brentford. But as soon as they started playing weaker opposition, like they lost to Norwich a couple of weeks back, like it was like, okay, yeah, maybe it suited them to park the bus, play on the counter, the long throws, the big balls into the box, and it worked for them against Chelsea, Arsenal, and Liverpool. But yeah, against weaker opposition where they got to play a bit. Although they did, it was an exciting game against Newcastle last week. And I wonder if the game against Everton could be quite end-to-end. It's sort of like, we both got rubbish defences at the moment. You have a go, we have a go. It could be a good view in that game at Goodison.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the case also with Raya out. I think their defensive stability has gone really down. So I think they'll concede a lot and then they'll have to react and score. So that's why I think, Tony and Bruno are like still okay options. They're not like.
But there's no chance Bremer won't score today. I mean, I've taken him out. I've put up with him for like 3 or 4 weeks, and there's no chance he won't score today. There's absolutely no chance. But it was annoying me. So I'm like that. I'm a bit of an emotional manager. If people niggling away, I can't have it. It's just annoying me sitting there getting 2 points, and I'm feeling I have to play him. And it's like Dennis wasn't really going to play him, so I don't get that upset. He's on the bench. Great, he's got 14 points on the bench. That's a bit annoying, but I wasn't going to play him. It's fine. So I'm going to try and sit us through the next 5 or 6 minutes to at least get the team news, and then we'll kind of wrap up after that. But a couple of quick other points I wanted to sort of get your take on. New Man United manager, big name, big reputation, big expectation. Do we think that's gonna, obviously already the Ollie. The Carrick bounce, as they call it, has seen a sort of a victory in Europe.
Yeah.
It's probably his last game, I think, in charge. I don't think Rangnick's been involved at all yet, but his last game in charge, sort of against Chelsea. What do we think? Where do we think the future holds for United? Do we think this is exactly what they need? European coach, lots of experience, tactical, smart guy. What do you think? I don't know much. What do you know about Ralph?
It's a good appointment. It's a frustrating appointment for me because I've really enjoyed seeing like United and Ollie being dragged through the mud. But what I would say is he's got such pedigree. We know his system with the high press. Systems like that take quite a while to sort of see the effects of the training with that system. And 6 months isn't going to change the world. And he can start to implement a new style at United, and we might see some slight improvements in the next couple of months. But by the time we see big improvements, his tenure could be coming to an end. We're talking about a 6-month loan deal or 6-month deal in charge and then 2-year consultancy. Well, as a consultant, the style of play is kind of irrelevant. You're there to consult on transfers and things like that, unless he impresses so much in the 6 months that then they make him the permanent manager. And I think that's very much an option, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that. I do think United will be much better under him than Ollie. I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Ronaldo. He, of course, is going to keep Ronaldo in the team. Like, Ronaldo will be so important, and that interview process would have been, with your style of play, Ralph, how are you going to make this work for Ronaldo? Because he ain't going to press. We know that.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's going to be really interesting. I think Sancho might be one to watch.
I'd love to see someone screaming at Ronaldo to tackle back. I just watch.
Yeah.
I would tune in just to watch that.
If he does have to track, then we're not going to see Ronaldo playing Wednesday, Saturday.
No.
He will not be able to do it. So it'll be foolish to ask him to do that.
Do you think Ronaldo has unbalanced United? Like, were they a better side as a team, not in individuals, but as a team without Ronaldo?
He unbalances most teams, and he unbalanced Juve at the end, and the fans wanted him out. He probably unbalances Portugal. Does he unbalance United? I'm not sure. United was so unbalanced anyway. They've been all over the place anyway. So I think he's helped. I mean, look at the goals he's been scoring. Like, I feel like without Ronaldo, they'd be in dire position.
Yeah, but would someone else not have scored those goals with not a Greenwood or a Bruno or a?
I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Bruno's obviously looks a fraction of the player since, can't even take penalties now apparently. So that's I don't know. That's interesting. The other point, which I don't know if you've got any views on, Obay, is AFCON. So there's a lot of conversation about it. Obviously, it's going to be very disruptive. It might well, if it goes ahead, is the first question. Obviously, we've had the new COVID variant, which is in the south of Africa, and may well sweep through the country. That might change things a lot. If it does go, there's quite a few names going out there. Salah amongst them. And it's quite a chunk of time. If the national teams call, I think it's even from. It's like from the first game in January, I think, onwards. They might be called away if the national team takes up their role for to call them out 2 weeks in advance or whatever. That's going to be a big change for us, right? I guess we've got Christmas to focus on first, but then AFCON, negotiating that's going to be a big one, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we still have like maybe 7-8 game weeks before that time is, but it will really make things interesting because as we've been talking now, like the game has turned into a 10 players game without a captain because everyone's going with Salah and him as a captain most of the weeks, let's say. So that's why it's good maybe to maintain your rank or to start to getting into a point where you're happy with your rank and then start taking those smaller risks because everyone will have to adapt when Salah leaves. Yeah, the whole Liverpool team, we don't know, like they lose money as well. So
I was going to say you go obviously Salah to Mane, but it isn't Salah to Mane because they're both out. So that's going to be very different. I mean, that will be an interesting time for Liverpool. That that's. Not that they haven't got other quality players, but not of the same caliber. Not many teams do. Can replace players like that. It's a big impact.
Exactly. So it will really affect the whole thing with those players missing out, and especially if they go far. Like if let's say particularly Egypt for Salah, if they go let's say to the final, then he's gonna miss a lot of games. So that's the time when everyone most probably will sell him and just
differential captains. It'll be nice, won't it, a little bit.
Yeah,
we do the captaincy poll and the captain sensible every week.
Yeah.
And it's,
no one is talking about captaincy these days. So we'll just back into that.
I mean, it's always like, what's your differential? That's the option. Is anybody in the chat captaining anybody other than Salah? Don't tell me you're captaining Salah. That's not interesting. But is anybody else actually put the neck on the line and gone out with someone other than Salah this week? I
wonder if a few may have gone Burnley away for Harry Kane, maybe. But, I mean, that would still be a bold move knowing he played 90 minutes on Thursday night in Slovenia.
Yeah. Yes, I don't think it's one of the
I
weeks,
don't
as
know
we
Burnley
said.
away is the game Spurs want, is it? I don't know.
No.
I think that's going to be a tough game for Spurs. Actually,
Yeah.
and Burnley can attack now. They've got striking. They've got Cornet who can score from any range apparently. So,
But defensively, yeah, Burnley are a little bit like they're not the Burnley that we were used to. So now defensively, they're a little bit more shaky. They don't have Tarkovsky also for this game, so maybe that's something for Son also. Like he likes to play against Burnley, so let's hope for something.
Oh, the teams are out. We've got team news.
Do you want to go through the team news? Or want me to do it? What do you want to go through?
Yeah, I'll go for the Arsenal team. So I'm on their Twitter page at the moment. So it looks to be very similar to what we've been seeing of late. Tomiyasu, White, Gabriel, and Tavares keeps his spot at left back despite that blind pass to Jota. So we've still got Tierney benched. Sambi and Partey holding mids. Smith Rowe starts. Odegaard gets a start alongside Saka and a one-man strike force of Aubameyang. So that means Lacazette is on the bench. So Aubameyang will be down the middle and central. We'll see Saka and Smith Rowe part of that front three, I reckon. So Smith Rowe without Lacazette in the team.
Getting lots of chances. I'll be going sitting there.
That's one person more advanced. Now Lacazette's not starting. Smith Rowe will be slightly higher up the pitch, I reckon.
I'm going to be. And then for Newcastle, we've got Dubravka at the back, Kraft, Shah and Lascelles. The back three, Fraser, Willock, Shelvey and Ritchie across the midfield. So Fraser starting, interesting. Fraser Wilson thing. Joe Linton, Wilson and Sant Max up front. That's quite interesting. I mean, they're going for it, aren't they? Right? That's a front three. Got Fraser pushing on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a triple Bournemouth there. You know, Fraser, Ritchie, and Wilson all getting a start. So
that Fraser. Remember the Fraser Wilson combination at Bournemouth? Yeah. That was a great. When it was clicking, that was so exciting. You've got Joe Linton, who's nice. He stands around. He scored in the week, so that's good. And,
Chris, I tipped Joe Linton on my stream with Az in the week for Scout.
What did you tip him for? You tipped him to turn up.
As his expression, at the time I was thinking I needed a plan to bring Chilwell in, and the only way of getting the money was Tony down to Joel Linton, and I was closer. I was thinking if Chilwell hadn't got injured, I'd genuinely considering that.
You could have been starting. You could have been. There would have been a lot more chatter there. There'd been a bit of
I know. 5.8 million though. If he plays well today, he'd have played very well for 2 weeks on the trot, and he plays Norwich next game. I genuinely think. If you're looking at Tony transfers out, let's say he's for straights today, I do think at 5.8, if he gets a run of starts, obviously you prefer Callum Wilson, but he's more expensive. Joel Linton could be one to watch.
So
I'll score goals this Newcastle team.
What's your predictions for this match? We'll do a couple more minutes and we'll wrap it. What's your predictions for the Arsenal Newcastle match? And what do you think? Do you think Aubameyang's going to be a couple 2-0 to Arsenal? What are you thinking?
Who's the home team? I've not looked.
Arsenal is the home team.
Arsenal at home.
Yeah.
Probably fancy Arsenal at home. If it had been at St James's, I'd fancy a draw or a Newcastle win. I'm going to go 2-1 Arsenal. Newcastle, what we know about Eddie Howe is he'll concede goals for fun, but he'll score more goals than any other team at the bottom of the table, which is why I don't mind covering Newcastle attack. So 2-1 Arsenal, I'll go.
Yeah, I like this Newcastle team, to be honest. He's going for it, and I think the Sam Maximin and Fraser playing balls to Wilson. I think they'll score. I don't expect a clean sheet for Arsenal. So I was going to say probably 2-2 maybe 2-1 or 2-2. Yeah.
I was thinking the draw. I was thinking the draw. I think a high scoring draw could be on the cards. I think he's going to go. I think that's an approach as well. He's got to do that. He's got to get Newcastle fans going and got to get the team really going for it. And Arsenal don't like it up and, as they said, in half hot mum, an old UK TV series. They don't like, I think they can be rattled basically. I mean, obviously Newcastle aren't of the quality of Liverpool, but it's gonna be very interesting. Aubameyang was in the scout picks.
Was he?
Any love for Aubameyang at all?
Not for me.
No, not for me either. I really don't trust Arsenal to an extent to get a player like almost at 10 million. So. That's about it. Although I think he could score today, but
I get it from the scout
picks. Yeah, I've really been frustrated.
Yeah, I mean the scout picks is a 1 week pick. It's not a season long team. It's a 1 week pick, so it's what they think that week. It's interesting. Well, it was interesting to see his name in there. They've got the scout picks have got Aubameyang, Saka, and Ramsdale. So it's an Arsenal triplet. And then TAA, Salah, and Jota. So 3 Liverpool. Jimenez and Nori from Wolves, so they've got in the Wolves as well, and then James, Gundogan and Cancelo. So yeah, interesting. Interesting. I guess it's playing the fixtures as well. Cool. I think we've probably covered it through. We've got us through to the team sheets, which is what I wanted to do. Thank you for everyone for sticking with us. We tried to answer a few questions. You helped me pick my side. So I don't know. I think it came from here. To be fair, Obay decided to go for Jimenez, and Gianni maybe helped me towards Silva, but certainly over going to Smith Rowe. So everyone who owns Smith Rowe can look forward to some big points now. Probably Jimenez owners as well. So have a great week, game week, and yeah, we'll be back with videos next week. We're not doing any live stream match, are we, Gianni, this week?
We're not, but we do have, on Wednesday night, we have got 6 games that are all on Amazon Prime. So we'll be watching all 6, and it'll be me, Seb, Toby, and Ed. 4-way bumper stream Wednesday night.
4-way bumper screening, sponsored by Amazon. They're not paying us. That's fine. But brilliant. Okay, well, thank you, folks. I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks for putting up with some of my early technical hitches. Don't do this enough. I'm going to try and do a bit more, but it's been great. Have a great game week. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Gianni.
Thank you.
I think